As teens, social lives become more entwined with the digital tools they use. Parents are becoming more concerned about negative imagery posted online and how their kids interact with that. So joining us this morning to discuss the dilemma within the social space, clinical psychologist Dr. Patrice Charles. Good morning to you there, Mom.
Good morning. And let's let me correct you, that would be counseling psychologist.
Okay. You know, when I was reading it, I said, when did Patrice do this? Okay, I was going to say congrats, but okay, gotcha. Good to have you with us this morning. I know you're multitasking, so thank you for taking the time. Is this a matter that is coming up more with you and the parents with whom you speak, and the children as well?
Yes. And what's happening is not only am I seeing the dilemma in the teenagers, the adolescents, that teenage stage, but I'm seeing it kind of bleed over in the young adults now. So one of the things that happens when children don't get the appropriate attention that they need from their parents in that childhood adolescent stage, it contributes to an insecure attachment that takes them into their adulthood, so they become an insecure adult.
So hold on now. So all right, so you're going to teenagers and young adults, right? I want to back up a little bit to that pre-pubescent time, because a lot of the younger kids, the 10s and the 11s,
Even below that, have you seen a 5-year-old on a tablet?
The what?
5-year-old on a tablet.
Oh yeah. And Roblox is a thing, and right. So, and many of them are expressing an interest to go and build profiles even from that age. So parents, what are you telling parents about that?
I'm telling parents that everything has to be balanced. I think it's important in this age, that the computer age, that children learn how to use the computer. And look at COVID. COVID has moved the entire world onto the computer, onto the platform. So if you literally don't know how to use it, if you don't know how to adjust, if you don't know how to modify your lifestyle to involve internet, you're going to be left behind. So I think it's very important that children do understand and appreciate and learn the language of the internet. I think it's the parents' responsibility to ensure that they navigate that space safely, because there's so many predators in that social media space. Yes. There's so many types of bullying that can take place on social media, that it's important that parents understand that, and that parents come up with a very creative way to monitor their children while they're in that social media space. I also want to say to parents to be mindful of how they navigate that social media space around their children.
Yes.
But parents themselves can be addicted to that space. And if they're addicted to that space, then who's paying attention to those little ones? When your 5-year-old wants to have a conversation or wants to play and you're on your phone, looking down into your phone, or when your teenager wants to talk to you, or your 10-year-old wants to talk to you, it's not, foolishness or childish. It's let me put my phone to the side and look you in the face and smile and engage you, versus making you feel like you're not valuable enough for me to even have a conversation with you. And that's where it starts building out that, you know what, it doesn't make sense for me to express my emotions, because when I express my emotions, they're disregarded anyway. So I'll just keep them to myself. Yeah. And hence there goes that low self-esteem, low confidence, insecure type of attachment that starts building up.
A lot of things happening from what you're saying, Doc. Let me start first with the need for, I guess, is it information? Because there are people, as you said, they are constantly on social media. They're sending WhatsApp messages. They're watching YouTube videos. Their eyes never come off the screen. Why is that? What is this detachment to the real world?
I think it's a way to escape. For children, I've worked with a lot of children that parents feel as if they have an addiction to the internet or an addiction to gaming, and they're probably not that off from feeling that it's an addiction. I think it's because, well, one, you kind of trigger in that feel-good dopamine and endorphins when you get all of those likes and you get that acknowledgement. Again, the need to be acknowledged by your peers is something that takes place in that developmental stage of adolescence and teenagers, wanting to be acknowledged by their peers. So they will tend toward leaning more towards their peers maybe than their parents at that time. And also just knowing that so many people like what I put out there, so maybe if I could do this more. And then they start creating a different character because they realize that they're more confident when no one is actually in front of them physically to express themselves in a different way. So then they start creating a different character that they realize that is more liked in that social media space. Mm-hmm. Now put them in front of someone physically face to face and you find that they find it difficult to have a conversation. They're less confident. Mm-hmm. They're less able to solve those interpersonal issues because they're so used to doing it behind a screen.
Yeah, those likes and those thumbs ups and those messages of validation that they get. One person told me it's okay to have your child on YouTube, start a channel, but just turn off the comments. And maybe some parents think that's one way, but you said that as parents we need to find creative ways to monitor what our children are doing online. I want to ask you what those look like, because we talk about the rights of the child. I don't know if the right to privacy is one of them. Up until you're 18, I don't know.
Parents are in charge of authorizing that usage of space, like on YouTube, and I think that they have two different types of YouTube, one for adults, one for children. Again, even if you're on the YouTube channel for children, you still have to monitor it. Because let me tell you, I was looking at, I have young girls, like an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old, and the 8-year-old was looking at some video on YouTube, and when I really, it just kind of like came into focus what she was looking at, and it was so violent and
dark,
and clean and stabbing, and this is a cartoon and animation.
Yeah.
And they get into that space, those predators, and then they get into that space under the disguise of something innocent. That's why you have to be so careful and know what your children are watching. There are apps that you can use to link your device to your child's device. And listen, people talking about invasion of privacy. 5-year-old, a 10-year-old, you want to invade. You want to do it in such a way that your child understands that you have access to it. So be accountable. So you're going to teach them accountability and responsibility from that very young age. Because yes, I'm watching you. And by the time you're 18, I hope that you are responsible enough to know what you're doing. Yeah. So don't worry about that. Do what you have to do as a parent.
Sorry, I was going to say Patrice, but what do we do when locks? Because we're saying we want to help the teens, but what happens when the parent needs help? Who steps in? Do the teachers step in? Who steps in?
Well,
steps in.
Parents need help, and one of the things I've also noticed with parents is that there's almost an innocence, or parents can be a little naive when it comes to certain things. So we have some really good parents out there that focus on those 3 basic needs: food, clothing, and shelter. And they work really, really hard to ensure that their children are provided with food, clothing, and shelter. The black and white essence of parenting. And what I want them to understand is that there are so many gray areas in between those 3 things that they have to take note of and go a little extra, just a little extra mile to ensure that it's provided. The emotional needs of their children, the self-esteem, recognizing who your child is. If you don't recognize the value of your child, best believe someone else out there, some stranger, some big brother belonging to someone else, or big sister belonging to someone else, some aunt or uncle will recognize them and make them feel the way that they thought they should have felt from their parents. And that's why you see a lot of young girls kind of drifting towards the older men, not just for the KFC, but also for that emotional support and attention that they needed when they were children, when they were at home, or with their parents, that they're not getting from their parents in the absence of a dad, or in the absence of even if the father is there and he's just working or not paying attention in the way that they need to pay attention. So it's important that parents, if you're unable to do it, if you see the signs of children kind of drifting, if you notice that every day your child is no longer interested in board games, is no longer interested in going outside and running up and down. For the younger children, get a schedule, a routine of right now everybody's online. They need to, as soon as school is finished, they don't need to be still on their computer. Once the homework is finished, play some board games, read a book. My goodness, at this point in time, go outside in your yard, kick a ball, throw something, plant something, bake. But come up with something based on your family culture and the structure of your home that works best, that will take your child away from screen time, especially those younger ones. Because you don't want them to just be going from screen time from 8 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock in the night.
Mm-hmm.
You need to break it up, and there needs to be balance.
Yeah.
As far as the older children are concerned, have conversations about current events. Debate. Have that little debate banter. Listen, gone are the days when children should be speak when you're spoken to. I don't
when
need
you're
to
called.
engage you. These adults, these young adults, these teenagers need to be engaged. And parents need to understand that it's not about speak when you're spoken to and then you quarrel with them when they're in the classroom and they have no voice. You want your child to have a voice, and you want your child to have an opinion. How they communicate that voice or that opinion is what you as the parent need to regulate.
Oh, boy.
Respectfully.
So much to maneuver. Black and white, gray, shaded. It's so much.
Don't want to say parenting is an easy.
Yeah.
Difficult job that you can't get a degree for.
Yes, correct. We agree. That's why you're there to help us. Thank you, Patrice. We've got to go.
Parents, please, if you cannot, please reach out for help. There are many life coaches and psychologists and guidance counselors that you can reach out to just to get a little bit more assistance. Because sometimes when you're so close to the situation, it's very difficult for you to see or to know what.
Sure, you need fresh eyes. Thank you very much. Counseling psychologist, Dr. Patrice Charles.